What if you choose to swim with the current? Not stop paddling, but stop fighting. What's available then?
You're listening to Say It Anyway, the podcast for people who know they're meant for more and are done holding back. I'm Maggie Marcus, and here we talk courage, self-trust, and what it takes to lead yourself, even when it scares the hell out of you.
Do you ever feel like things aren't moving no matter how much you do, right? Like you just feel like everybody else is further along and you want to trust the process. But you are so tired of feeling behind and you want results now. You want certainty now. You want to know that you are going to be okay, that you're going to be successful, that all the time and effort that you're putting into it is going to be worth it. That's what I was feeling the other day. I was just feeling a bit discouraged. I think that anybody who's in the pursuit of something bigger than themselves, in the pursuit of a bigger dream, a vision, if you're on an entrepreneurial path, I think it's only natural to have these up and down days, these moments, right? Where maybe you might feel a bit of self-doubt. You might feel discouraged. You catch yourself comparing to other people and feeling a bit frustrated. Why am I not where I want to be yet? Why am I not getting the results? Why am I not seeing the fruits of my labor? It feels like nothing is moving. And that's kind of where I was at. It's just like, I feel like I've been in this journey for the last 10 years of diving into understanding myself on this entrepreneurial path. Even though I've pivoted in many different directions, I'm in this constant path of understanding, exploring, learning. And I'm just like, when the hell am I going to get there? When the hell am I going to feel like I'm where I want to be? And it was funny, I woke up the next morning and I went to journal. I haven't journaled in a while, and I'd filled up my last journal, and so I picked up my other one. And it's funny, I turned to the last entry, I was looking for a clean piece of paper, and the last entry was exactly a year ago to the date. I love it. I think the universe lately, I'm just in my trust era. Blah. I'm in my trust era where the universe just keeps sending me signals and nudges to just keep going, when I need it, the most. And so I read this journal entry. It was exactly what I needed. It was so encouraging. It reminded me of all the things that I had been up to, that I had accomplished. I had just finished a 4 or 5 month stretch of helping to coach a leadership program of 46 students. And that had really stretched me and had taken a lot of me, my energy, my time. It taught me a lot about myself. And I was writing about how proud I was of myself and excited for the next, phase and the next steps, what was coming for me. I was so sure that I knew that good things were coming. And reading that next to how I felt the day before, it just shifted me. It totally shifted me. And I realized how much we're always so focused on how much further we have left to go rather than honoring, where we've been. I've been swimming so hard against the river current, or trying to go faster than the river current, fighting for speed. And I forgot to notice how far downstream I've actually traveled. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to write out all the things that I've done in this past year, since that date. What have I accomplished? How have I grown? Who have I been? And I wrote out this whole list. And there is actually so much more than I anticipated, right? Things like the fact that I started my podcast. This is my 30th episode. That's really cool. I haven't honored that. I completed a speaking mastermind. I wrote a keynote. I developed a lot of my thought leadership, created the website, the marketing materials. I got certified as a trauma-informed practitioner. I moved in with James and his daughter and like built this new life, this new home, this new dynamic in our family. I got a wedding dress, got the wedding venue, I'm planning the wedding, like I paid off a bunch of debt. There's all this stuff. And I did this, I'm doing this 90-day challenge. I'm like 20 days in. This is day 21 of posting consistently to social media, which I was always inconsistent with, that I was always kind of hiding myself from, never really fully showing up with full trust in myself. And so I have come so far, and I thought to myself, like, is this the list of someone who's making no progress? Of course not. But my brain wanted to tell me that. My mind wanted to tell me that. Like, why does it always feel like we're not making progress, even when we're doing the work? I think that sometimes we're not seeing, the tangible results or the payoff yet. Like we want to see the engagement, the views, the clients, the listeners, the bookings. We want to see the income that we want, and we're comparing ourselves to people who are already there. And here's the thing, I want to make sure that I don't skim over this, because this is important. Like, this is worth being honest about. If you're not seeing the results, like, are you putting in the right kind of effort? I think before we go any further, I think that gets to be addressed. Like, to be really honest with ourselves, like, are you putting in the right kind of effort? Are you doing the things that are actually moving the needle, or the things just feel like effort? Like, we need to check in with ourselves, because you could be doing a lot, but are you making the right kind of moves? Are you putting in the effort towards the right things that are moving the needle forward? Sometimes it's, it can feel like, oh, we're doing a lot, but we're sitting in research mode, preparation mode, or like, for example, I used to be in sales, and I used to coach people on this all the time. They'd be like, I'm doing so much. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? Like, are you just sitting there memorizing your script and like watching training calls and, studying? Or are you actually calling leads? Are you actually asking for, your mentors, your coaches to review your sales calls? Like, are you actually, doing the bigger things that are going to move the needle forward? So it's worth having that conversation. Like, that's first and foremost. But if you are doing the right things, sometimes it's just time. Like, you are building something, and that can take longer than we want it to. Like, often we just don't want to sit in the discomfort of the process, right? Of the uncertainty. Like, is this working? Am I going to make it? Like, am I going to be successful, right? Like, is this going to pay off? And so I think, like, obviously, on one hand, it's worth and important to be truly evaluative and honest with yourself about your effort and your process. But then also know that sometimes, I heard this the other day and I was like, yes, sometimes the wait is longer because the blessing is bigger. Sometimes the wait is longer because the blessing is bigger. That sometimes there's something on the other side of all of this build up that is so much more than you'd ever imagined or could expect. We live in a world of instant gratification. Like, we get so frustrated. I get so frustrated if the web page doesn't load in like 0.3 seconds. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm moving on. Or like, I'm annoyed. I'm like over there, like looking at the Wi-Fi at the router, like, what's wrong with you? We live in this world where we expect everything to move quickly and things are on demand, like, oh my God, what do you mean my Uber Eats is going to take 40 minutes. Like, what the heck? That's way too long. And yeah, I think that kind of is a little bit too long. But like, you know what I mean, right? And then at the same time, we're expecting everything to be instant gratification, everything on demand. And at the same time, we're also paying attention to what everybody else is up to. And we're like way more connected online to everybody else. And so then it creates a comparison. Like, oh man, why are they getting there so much faster than I am? How did they do that? Right? But what I want to remind you is your path is yours, and it's yours for a reason. And maybe your path is supposed to take exactly the time that it's taking to teach you something. That's something that you need to learn for you, right? Like maybe your lessons are around slowing down, being present, trusting, not equating performance with worth, not needing external validation, like learning how to validate yourself, to trust yourself. Sometimes there's a lesson that is worth learning and taking time with, because like, let's say that you got to that where you want to be like instantly. Would you even be prepared to handle that? Would your nervous system even be prepared to handle that? Like, would you be able to handle the success if it came that fast? Like, I know, even though I wanted what I want and that success like 2 years ago, I don't think I would have been able to really, truly handle that. There's so much inner work that I have done in that time that has built the foundation, prepared me for what's to come. Like, I don't think that my nervous system can handle it. Let's just say, like, I was seen and exposed and I went viral, for example, and my account blew up, like, and then all with it, like, that's not normal, right? We're not meant to have all these eyes on us. Like, would my nervous system be able to handle that? Like, the hate comments that are definitely going to come with that. Like, that's just part of it. Would I have been able to handle that? Or would my self-esteem have crumbled? Would it have jolted me? Would it have caused me to want to go back into hiding? I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was telling me his brother had come out of jail, and he started going on TikTok and doing like some gaming, right? And he blew up. He had all these followers, and he was making, a lot of money each day through TikTok. And then eventually he burned out. He couldn't handle it. He fizzled out. And so you compare that to someone who's been building and their own foundation, who has learned to really understand themselves, to know themselves, their patterns, who has regulated their nervous system, who understands their ego, and learned to validate themselves, and work through and heal whatever wounds they have, or is in the process of that. That is going to be someone who is much more prepared to handle the level of growth that's coming for them. So you are in your journey. Your lessons are designed for you. Your challenges are designed for you to become the person that you're meant to be. And somebody else has a different set of lessons, a different set of challenges that's meant for them and who they're meant to be. And I get it. Like, I definitely have succumbed to the comparison spiral. Like, it's not easy, because the comparison can happen so quickly. It can just grab you. It can just take hold of you, and before you even realize it, and then you're spiraling. And you're diving into someone's profile, and you're like years back, like looking at all their stuff, and you're researching that, whatever, right? Like, there's so much that it can happen so quickly, or you spiral into like downward, and you're like beating yourself up, speaking negatively to yourself. Suddenly you want to give up on everything. You leave, like, and to go numb out and smoke some weed, or eat a bunch of food, or binge on Netflix, or just like whatever you do, right? So I want you to consider, when we compare to someone else's timeline, it's kind of like you're looking over at a swimmer in a different river, like a completely different river. We're just going with river analogies today. Like, They're in a different current. They are in a different depth. They are at a different distance to their waterfall and wondering why you are not moving at their pace. You're not even in the same water. You're not even in the same water. So the practice is catching it. I know this is so much easier said than done, but being able to notice, this is why awareness is like, the most important thing. Like, it's seriously the most important thing. Being able to catch and notice where your thoughts are going and to be able to interrupt them before they spiral. And choosing to ask yourself instead, choosing. Awareness creates choice. Choosing to ask instead, what am I seeing in them that I value? What am I seeing in them that I appreciate? What am I seeing in them that I respect? What am I seeing in them that I admire? And what is this teaching me about me and what I want and what I value? And how can I be more of that or bring more of that into my life? Like I see someone that is just blowing up on social media and like sharing themselves and maybe I'm comparing some like, oh man, I'm not getting like the same amount of engagement or followers or views. Like, oh no. And I can look at that person and say like, well, what is it that I'm seeing in them? Maybe I'm seeing consistency. Maybe I'm seeing someone who is willing to take a risk and be vulnerable. Maybe I'm seeing someone who is being authentic. And those are all values that I can say, yeah, I that's important to me. Those are things that are qualities that I admire. And I admire them for a reason because they're important to me. So how can I bring more of that? How can I be someone who's more consistent? That someone who's more, that's authentic online, who shows up, who takes a risk and is vulnerable, right? And then what we do is we send that person gratitude instead of resentment, instead of bitterness. I will go and like their posts and say, hell yes. Thank you for showing up in my feed. Thank you for showing me what it is that I want. Thank you for showing me what I value and what I like, the gap between like what it is that I want and maybe how I'm showing up. Send them love, send them lots of love, vibrationally, physically, like manually, whatever. Like just send them love. Good vibes are coming back to you, baby. I promise. So it always comes down to interrupting those thoughts before you let them take you down, because they will take you down, bro. They will take you down. Now, instead of putting all this pressure on yourself and beating yourself up, why am I not there yet? Like, how do we actually build momentum in a positive way, in an empowering way? The momentum is built with consistency and commitment. And acknowledging not just what you've done, but who you've been. Like, we tend to equate our to-do list, our performance, with our worth. Let's not do that. I'd rather you ask, who was I being as I was doing the things? I was being courageous. I was being a risk taker. I was being loving. I was being determined. Even though I might not have gotten the outcome that I had hoped for and wanted, was I being my values? Was I being the person that I want to be? Was I being the kind of person that is growing in the direction that I want to go? That if I continue to be these qualities, that eventually I would accomplish what I want to accomplish. That is a much better basis for me to grow from, because that's something that I have control over. It's be, do, have. Like, you will never do if you're not being the person required to do the thing. Like, you've got to be the qualities that are going to create the doing, which will then result in the having. The being informs the doing. Once you embody the identity of that person, the actions will follow naturally. Here's why. If you are being the thing that is evidence to you, that creates the identity of someone who believes that I am courageous, for example. I am courageous. So even again, if I don't get the outcome, I believe that I'm still a courageous person. And that informs my identity. And so if that is strong in my mind, that belief that I am courageous, then I will still perform the actions required. Even though that one thing didn't work out the way I wanted to, if I still believe I'm courageous, I will still do the things, the other things, the next thing, whatever it is. Like, because I believe that I am courageous. I will continue to take risks. I will continue to take action. I will continue to put myself out there. I will continue to let myself be seen. I will continue to try. And that is what creates momentum. When you actually believe that you are your values and the things that are important to you, then you will continue to do the actions required. But if you don't believe that you are the thing, the action becomes much more difficult to complete. Like, think about it. If I don't think I'm a courageous person, but me wanting to become a public speaker requires me being seen, but I don't have the courage to actually put myself out there and post videos online, then I'm going to have to force and willpower my way into the doing. And that's just not effective or sustainable. That's how people will burn out. So acknowledging like who you are being, and where you've been, that allows us to like acknowledge and celebrate ourselves and cheer ourselves on. Like, we get to be our own biggest cheerleader. Loving your way into your goals is much more sustainable than beating yourself up into them. I promise. And now I want to add that pressure isn't bad. Pressure is good. I've always worked best when there's a little bit of pressure. I remember when I was a server, my section, when it was full, I was on it. I was freaking at my best. I was focused. I knew I had to get things done. So I was moving, chugging along. But when I had one table or two tables, that's when I probably made the most mistakes, oddly enough, because I was like, yeah, it's fine. I take my time. I get distracted by someone talking to someone, right? But when I'm locked in, it's because I had some pressure on me. So the pressure is a privilege. The pressure is a good thing. The pressure creates focus, alertness. It allows us to know that this thing is important to us. And that's a certain kind of motivator, right? A certain kind of push. That is good. But here's the nuance, right? Where is the pressure coming from? Where is the intention? Look at the pressure that comes from, let's not live with regret. You are destined for something great. You have so much to offer. You make an impact. I know that you can do this. Life is short. Let's make the most of it. That kind of pressure is different than the pressure of, you're a failure if you don't make it, or you have to prove them wrong. Or you're gonna be insignificant if you don't make it. That is a different kind of pressure. Which pressure do you think is going to actually empower you to move forward and to keep going when those inevitable challenges do hit? Now, all that said, how do we learn to trust the process when we want certainty now? I get it. I know. I get it. Right? And this is where the acceptance is so important, because resistance to what is creates suffering. And certainty, like the certainty that you're craving, that you want, is just an illusion. It is like control is an illusion. And truly, it is a human response to something that scares the shit out of us, which is knowing at the end of the day that we are mortal and that we will pass on someday. That is inevitable. And so that is something that is so difficult to contend with that we grasp and have this need, this desire for control and for certainty in some aspect of our lives. But it's just not the case. Like the lack of certainty is just something that we get to accept, that we need to accept, that this ride, that this journey that we're on, it can never be a certain one. And that's a good thing, because that opens us up to different possibilities, to avenues and things that we never knew were possible or could imagine or could expect and anticipate. And that's so exciting, right? Like if everything was certain, like imagine that you were told exactly how your life was going to play out, that you were like, you're going to go to this school, you're going to graduate from there, you're going to work this job, you're going to meet this person at this time, you're going to marry them, you're going to have this many kids, and you're going to work at this job, and then eventually you'll die. Like, imagine that you were told that that's your path. And you're like, okay, at least I have some certainty that I'll live until I'm 82. And I know I'll have a stable income and I'll have found love. And like, okay, cool. But is that really an alive life? Like, is that like, at least that's not to me. Like, there would be no room in that for spontaneity, for serendipity, for discovery. And that is the beauty of being alive. It's the beauty of life, like getting to be in the exploration and being in the mystery of life, not knowing exactly what is being held for us. And I'd much rather experience coincidences and surprises that might hurt me or might challenge me or might be painful, and also be able to have the opportunity for happy coincidences and surprises, than to have none of that at all. That sounds way more fulfilling of a life than to have the predictable certainty and the safeness of that. But that's just me. You can ask yourself what you need. But I think that most of us would want that. But I don't know. I'm not everyone. So I think that, we get to be patient with ourselves and in our journey. That doesn't mean that we're not still intentional. You can be both. You can be intentional. You need to understand the direction in which you want to go. You need to have a target in the navigation system, know the direction that you want, and also be open to the current of life and the different paths that might emerge and diverge. Like, being impatient means that you are expecting things to go a certain way and trying to control things and really being in a very pushing, forceful energy, rather than being in a state of flow. Like, back to the river, right? Like, I'm swimming in the river and I'm going in this direction towards that really beautiful waterfall that I can't wait to see. And I know that I want to get there at the end, but I'm also allowing the current to move me. I'm moving with the current rather than trying to move faster than it and swim and say, we're not going fast enough. I'd rather like be in the current and intentionally, paddle or swim, not be passive, not just give up and lay there, but also not exhaust myself swimming against something that was always going to move me forward anyways. Like, I'm going to enjoy the scenery. I love the trees. I love the green. I love seeing the monkeys swinging around. I don't know where the heck I am in this metaphor or analogy. I don't know. But It sounds awesome. Like, it sounds really cool. So, yeah, I just want to say this. Like, I'm going to wrap this up. Your path is yours for a reason. Like, you get to be intentional and create, and also be patient and take the ride. Like, growth doesn't always look like these big milestones, right? Sometimes it's just moving the needle a little bit further than yesterday. And remember that sometimes the wait is a little longer because the blessing is going to be bigger. What if you choose to swim with the current? Not stop paddling, but stop fighting. What's available then? If you choose that and you keep swimming intentionally, but with the current, you're going to get to the waterfall. And maybe you're going to get there exactly when it's ready for you to arrive, to receive that beautiful view, that crystal refreshing water. But it doesn't mean you can't enjoy the water that you're swimming in right now and see the way it glimmers, the way it feels against your skin, how refreshing it is, how nice it is to swim in it, to flow in it. Like, what if the current already knows the way? Can you trust it enough to let it carry you there?
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. If this episode hit home, spread the love. Maybe share it with a friend or drop a comment. I'd love to know what landed for you. And remember, your voice matters. Whatever you're holding back, say it anyway.